Mark's a veteran. He's got it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so in case you didn't know what was going on right there in that intro, I'm going to play that video again with the full context, and I'm going to go ahead and give you that context right now. The guy in that blue hoodie right there, that was Nick Sorter. He's an independent journalist, or as the mainstream news report him as, he's a far-right activist. He's just an independent journalist that happens to be a conservative. He's not far right. He's a moderate, for crying out loud. But anyway, the mainstream news, they consider anybody that's a conservative far right. They want to label us white supremacists, but we're going to get into that on my next video. But anyway, folks, it's insane what's going on, and I love this current Trump administration. I know a lot of people have a lot of problems with Pam Bondi, but look. Right, I understand your plight with Pam Bondi. She could be way better. But she is leagues better than Merrick Garland, leagues better than Bill Barr, leagues better than any other attorney general that we've had in a very long time. And this right here is one of the reasons why I do like Pam Bondi. I do like what's going on in the Department of Justice. Check this out, y'all. Breaking. Pam Bondi orders full investigation into Portland police after Nick Sorter arrest. Okay, so like I said, in full context of that video, Nick Sorter, right, there's these riots going on in Portland around the ICE facilities out there, right? So Nick Sorter, he's an independent journalist. He's one of these on-the-ground reporters that gets right in the muck, gets right in the mix of these things. Go follow him on X in case you don't know who he is. He pumps out a lot of good videos from these protests, from these riots and places like this. He always goes all over the country and films the interactions, if you will. So he was there filming the protest, filming the riot, right? And he saw some of these Antifa members. They went to set an American flag on fire, and he decided, hey, hang on just a second, that's against the law. All right, that's against the Trump administration, the executive order that says, in the event that you burn an American flag while conducting a riot, for crying out loud, while in the middle of committing a crime, that's an enhancement, folks. That's right. Now, the corporate press, they try to come out and lie about this and say, well, he can't make a law, make it illegal to burn the American flag. What is he doing? That violates the First Amendment. But it's not. It's not illegal to burn the American flag. I don't care what you think or what you've heard from the mainstream news. That's not what the executive order says, right? The executive order just allows the Department of Justice to enhance whatever charges you may get. You have to be in the process of committing a crime when you burn a flag, right? Or engaged in a riot or some sort of illegal protest, right? Something of that nature. There's got to be an underlying crime for this enhancement to go down. Essentially, what happened to Donald Trump, except there was no underlying crime. But anyway, so Nick Sorter's there on the ground. He sees they're about to burn, or they started burning an American flag, and he ripped it out of their hand and put the fire out. And then he got attacked. That's what we saw in that video. But what you didn't see was the flag burning and the attack on Nick Sorter. What you saw, and this is what these people do, folks. It's like all these ICE videos that you've been seeing of ICE shoving somebody to the ground. You always notice it's right when the ICE officer or whatever shoves them to the ground. You don't see what happened before, and it takes forever. Like I showed one of the videos the other day where the lady was in the guy's face, essentially, like, right up on him, yelling and screaming in his face. And then he pushes her away and shoves her to the ground. So he was being attacked, as a matter of fact. But that's what they do, folks. You don't see where he gets attacked. You just see where he pushes the person back off of him after being attacked. Well, he got arrested. The Antifa members, they allowed them to go free. They didn't do anything to any of those people that were actually in the middle of a riot, that were actually in the middle of breaking the law. Didn't do anything to those people. But he got arrested. Falsely, I might add. So it's very fascinating. And once again, Pam Bondi was like, oh, hang on just a second. Yeah, there's something fishy going on here when you don't arrest terrorists because they have been labeled terrorists by the Trump administration. The Portland PD decides to arrest a guy just defending himself. Oh, we're going to have to look into this. And once again, folks, this is why I love Pam Bondi. I do. I like Pam Bondi. I know, once again, there's a lot of people that have some problems with that. But hey, look, it is what it is. There's a lot of things she does I don't like. But once again, it's better than Bill Barr. Not as good as Matt Gaetz, I think, personally. Not as good as Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz would have made a much better attorney general. But we get what we get, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and run that video. Just now that you have the context and you know what's going on, now you can see where the lies are, where the smears are, and why this is such a problem. Check this out.
Hey! Mark's a veteran. He's got it.
I've got another video clip of, as a matter of fact, I want to add it into here because it's funny. The caption for that video, we'll get to it in a little bit. I'll throw it in here in a little while. We'll get to it, but it was a Mediaite news article, and they said Marjorie Taylor Greene rages over conservative activists being arrested or something like that. And you look at the video, it's just a regular interview. Like, she was just talking normal. She wasn't raging over anything. It's just fascinating, and I want to run that because why not? But we're going to ram through this news article right quick, and then we'll get to that, y'all. Check this out. Attorney General Pam Bondi has ordered a full investigation into the Portland Police Department after the arrest of journalist Nick Sorter when he was in Portland covering Antifa-linked riots and protests at an ICE facility this week. Sorter announced the move on X. Attorney General Pam Bondi has ordered a full investigation led by Assistant AG Harmeet Dillon of the Portland Police Bureau following my wrongful arrest last night, Bondi confirmed to me. And there is the post. It is what it is, folks. But let's keep going. FAFO, Portland Police. Bondi personally called me to deliver this news, and I'm incredibly grateful to her for doing so. The Trump DOJ will not allow Portland police to continue to do the bidding of Antifa, Sorter added. Harmeet Dillon later posted confirming the investigation. Check this out right here. She says, I'm on it after Tim Pool puts out a post. A tweet. I am calling on the Trump administration to launch a legal challenge against Oregon following the arrest of @Nick Sorter and, if necessary, deploy the National Guard. That is right, folks. Oregon has failed to uphold federal and state law, and we should not tolerate it. Portland has been rogue for far too long. That is right. I know I added the far in there because why not, folks? They have been. They absolutely have been. Like the whole Chaz and the Chop situation that was going on in 2020. That was absurd, folks. Everybody that lived in those autonomous zones pretty much had their rights revoked because that was no longer recognized as sovereign U.S. territory, essentially. That's how it was being treated by the local municipality. That was no longer sovereign territory. That was an autonomous zone ran by Antifa, far-left extremists, terrorists, as a matter of fact. So, yes, something needs to be done about these people. We cannot live, we cannot coexist with people that don't respect the Constitution, that don't respect your rights to have an opinion. Right? They just don't. If you were to be walking down the street and walk past this protest, and one of them happened to see you were wearing a Trump hat. We've saw videos, folks, of we got a Trump supporter here, bang, bang. That's it. That was the only interaction they had, was hot lead flying at, 1,000 feet per second and entering your body unwillingly, I might add. So these people, you can't coexist with that type of nonsense. Right now, I'm trying to be nice by saying nonsense because it's nonsense. These people are just crazy. They just are. Some of the policies they advocate for, what they want from the federal government, they want it destroyed. They want to implement their communist utopia, which would be a hellscape. Look at Venezuela right now. Right, folks? Look, I'm sorry. Anybody out there that might think, oh, well, communist, on paper it looks good, but, it's never been done right. Right? You're going to be arrogant and say, oh, well, we haven't done communism. When we do it, it's going to be done right because we have no, folks, no. No, communism will never be right. You cannot never agree to take away the property rights of people. Right? People love to own things. You cannot seize the means of production. None of those things. Right? There's no incentive for anything. There's no incentive to go to work. If the government is going to give you things, you would have to be forced to go to work. And what is that, folks? That is a totalitarian dictatorship. As a matter of fact, let's keep going. Now, I'm sorry, I know I said I was going to ram through this, but you know how I am. Sorter was arrested by Portland police on Thursday evening while covering Antifa agitators at an ICE facility in Portland. Yeah, duh. Fox News' Bill Malugin spoke to Sorter after he was released from jail on Friday morning and reported he says he was getting video of protesters getting maced by federal agents, which was an embarrassing video for them as they were crying, etc. He says they then surrounded him, pushed him down into a flower bed, and someone threw a punch. Nick says he swung back and missed, then disengaged and walked over to a group of Portland PD. He says he was then shocked to be arrested by them and sat in the back of the police cruiser while officers figured out what to charge him with. I asked him about the female protester who was arrested with him. He said he talked to her in the jail and she didn't seem like she was the one who assaulted him, Malugin added. The arrest of Sorter comes just days after the post-millennials Katie Davenport was assaulted by an Antifa militant who struck her in the head. Despite following the suspect and flagging down the police, officers did not take the suspect into custody. Only later did the department ask for help from the public to identify the individual who assaulted Davenport. Or Davies-Court, however you want to pronounce that. So let's go ahead and run what Marjorie Taylor Greene was raging about.
Your reaction to Portland police arresting Nick Sorter?
Well, it's absolutely outrageous. And I was watching the video clip that you played just before you brought me on before the commercial break, where it shows Nick actually taking the burning American flag and stomping it out. And this is an executive order that the president signed that you cannot burn the American flag. So it's extremely wrong that the Portland police arrested Nick Sorter instead of Antifa, who were the ones that were burning the American flag. And Brianna, what needs to happen is the Department of Justice needs to come in hard on the city of Portland with open a major investigation into Nick Sorter, an independent journalist who was arrested. You talk about that's something we see in communist countries. Journalists get arrested in communist countries, and they allow anarchy and communism to reign. And Portland has done that. They have partnered with the National Lawyers Guild, which is responsible for bailing out Antifa over and over again as they have attacked the government and attacked law enforcement officers. And I do believe that Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization, and I have high expectation of Trump's Department of Justice of coming down hard on Portland and coming down hard on the police that arrested Nick Sorter.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because Nick Sorter is the second now independent journalist to be attacked in Portland over these last few nights, and they're becoming increasingly violent. But they claim, and I listen to the mainstream media too, just to hear what they're saying, but they claim that Antifa is not an actual organization and that the president's overstepping with that executive order, and that it actually, and they claim this, not me, that it infringes upon the First Amendment. What do you make of that argument?
Well, those are the lies that Antifa has told for years. I mean, you can trace this back well into President Trump's first administration. And even before that, we had Occupy Wall Street under President Obama. This is an organization that is well organized. They are well funded. And they are actually one of the biggest dangers in America. They truly are. They are against the government. They are anarchists. They are self-admitted communists. And they want to tear our country apart. So I believe they're domestic terrorists. I introduced legislation to label them as domestic terrorists, and I fully support President Trump and the Department of Justice in launching a massive investigation and prosecutions into Antifa. Whoever supports them, those are elected officials, and whoever funds them.
This is the type of ideology that Democrats advocate for, folks. Yeah, if you think they stand up for your constitutional rights, they absolutely don't, folks. They stand up for the cult. They'll stand up for Antifa. They'll stand up for the far left, but not for you. They don't care about you. They don't care about, sending the National Guard in. They'll raise the roof. They'll get out there and advocate and say the Trump administration, this authoritarian takeover. They'll turn the rhetoric up past 11 and smash through the roof on anything and everything because they just don't care, folks. Look, I'm tired of being nonpartisan, right? Like, I keep seeing all this nonsense coming from Democrats. I'm tired of seeing it, right? It's just utter garbage that comes out of their mouth. They're constantly spewing rhetoric that it's so disingenuous. They can't even tell the truth anymore at all. Like, they'll say, oh, well, the Trump administration, they're doing this and they're doing that. But it's always out of context. Once again, and it borderlines lies. They do lie, but when they are, quote unquote, telling the truth, it's always disingenuous and they leave out context, folks. So I'm tired of trying to be moderate, like bipartisan here, because it's just getting insane out there. And this is the type of stuff that they advocate for, which you were seeing in that video. These people burning the American flag. And they'll once again, they'll rail against the Trump administration, saying he's violating the First Amendment. Well, hang on just a second. Let's clarify for a second. That executive order is an enhancement, right? You can get out there if you're being peaceful with an American flag and burn it, and nothing will happen to you, folks. But if it is during a riot or some sort of violent protest, right, you will get an enhancement charge to whatever other underlying crime that you were arrested for. That's what the executive order is supposed to be for. It's not supposed to be for just that itself being a crime. You can't get arrested for burning an American flag. That is just not true. But once again, they'll get out there and lie about this, smear Republicans. It's all nonsense, folks, and it pisses me off till no end, because at a time, right, when the left is getting more and more and more violent, when the rhetoric is being turned up, they can't try to come together and say, hey, let's calm down, right? They need to come to their constituency and say, stop it. We don't condone this violence. You guys need to chill out. And they need to stop calling the Trump administration fascist, stop calling it an authoritarian takeover. They need to turn the rhetoric down to their constituencies, right? Like getting out there with this government shutdown, saying Republicans are just being cruel, right? Like, if you believed all the rhetoric that comes from Democrats that, oh, this is an authoritarian takeover, it's a fascist regime, right? You can't deal with a fascist regime at the ballot box. You can't vote them out of office. It just doesn't work that way, right? And you wonder why there's people out there in the streets taking out conservatives, taking out people that support Donald Trump. We just want to make this country great again. We want to turn down the crime, get rid of the illegals, and make the economy grow. That's it. That's all we want. We don't want none of this funny transgender nonsense, this 87,342,873.2 genders. Like, none of that exists. There's only two. And we're sick and tired of all the woke nonsense. That's it. That's all it is. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. It's kind of mind-blowing, y'all, but I know it's not my normal video. I figured might as well do it because I got to talk about this kind of stuff, because it's just ridiculous, y'all, what's going on in this country and where Democrats are. They're blaming Republicans for the government shutdowns. It's just stupid. And they're attacking ICE. They're attacking federal law enforcement. and Democrats are propping that nonsense up. It's insane. But like I said, y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, and click the join button, sign up, and become a member. That's the best way to help this channel expand and grow. But you guys remember that God is always with us, and he loves each and every one of you out there. So y'all try to have a good day and stay logical. Peace.